is banned away.
Oh, the Jayce makes it through here, and that's some flexibility, but mostly looking at Scout, who is, the second most played there for him is the Jayce. We'll see if that priority has that first pick for LNG is going to find promise, and JDG want to find a facilitator here, and maybe early presence for their jungle of Kanavi.
So Jayce, for Scout, he has won every single game of it this year. 4-0, 6.6 KDA. Has a game with over 1,000 DPS on it as well. One of his games versus BLG, he had 1,074 DPM. On the other side, though, letting through that Jayce means that you are probably fighting in mid-jungle TV2. We knew that because of these teams. We have been saying that an awful lot today. But on the other side, Kanavi going to go back onto the Vi. That is also another very strong mid-jungle TV2. And if that Jayce does go into mid lane, you don't have something like an Lissandra to lock Knight in lane. So Knight has counter pick if this Jayce is going into mid lane.
I like this often, though, the Lovers duo for LNG. The Xayah Rakan providing safety for LP, but also some damage potential and carry potential there. Mechanical outplays available for LP. I do appreciate the Aphelios pickup by Ruler, kind of going down the list. Lucian into Zeri, into Aphelios now. Just taking all the top played ADCs and try to see if he can make them work. But it is this final pick of the first phase that has my eye caught for JDG.
I like this pick because what this would mean is that if the Jayce is into mid lane, you don't have the Lissandra to lock Ahri into lane. Ahri gets pushed early on into Jayce because you have very strong level 1 trading. And actually in seasons past, Ahri has been seen as a bit of a Jayce mid-counter. I remember it's something like Season 7 MSI around then. That was one of the times where Ahri's previous iterations before reworks came through. That was when she was meta at that point in time. Now coming up with the Vi. As much as Scout is very, very good on this Jayce, we know that Knight is a very proficient player of this champion too. But you don't have the jungle champion locked in from Tarzan just yet, and you've lost both of your premier AP junglers to combo up with your AD mid laner, potentially.
Yeah, that's the most difficult part. They're definitely putting a big focus into Tarzan's pool here. And I still want to see a harken back to what we got from LNG in Game 1, where they were roaming together as a 4-stack on the bottom side of the map at level 3. We do see that Ornn focus towards 369, and he was a crucial pillar and an engage for JDG last game.
Yeah, I think what LNG is saying is that we're not going to give you something that can just be undiveable and survive on an island and turn up to team fights for 369. Gragas already banned away as well. It's one of his 369's other big picks for that kind of option. Reanta Aphelios was one of our very best bot lanes this time last year when we were in the Jinx Aphelios meta. And what this also does is that when Rakan jumps in, you just fire a handshake from the Reanta straight at him, and it stops his W. Lots of ways to disengage that, and also the ultimate, being able to reach Xayah in the backline, force ultimate for ultimate, very powerful in those team fights. So, bot side-centric draft from JDG right now. You're looking to push out, look for picks from your mid jungle, and use that to transfer pressure towards that bot side. LNG, what have you got to help your bot side of the map?
I like this. You get that facilitation from Tarzan. Maybe it's not the big carry jungle, but it's still a bruiser that can kind of push up and invade if needed with some help from the rest of the team. And then we get the Scout Classic in the Azir as well.
So what this is for is basically JDG, they lock in the Vi Ahri again and say, put that Jayce mid, see what happens. They have to flex it out of that mid lane. This will be Zika's first Jayce game of the split. Hasn't gone towards that just yet, and it does mean that Scout does go towards that Azir. Can also get picked off by this combo. It's good in the early lane for pushing out priority. I almost wonder if something like Taliyah would have been a little better to kind of have some contested push and still have global pressure, but Scout's Azir absolutely lethal in its own rights. Does mean that 369 gets his own choice of matchup in that top side, goes back to the Ksante, was almost unkillable in game 1. They still lost, but he made it very hard for him to die.
Now, this will be the 90th game in competitive for Scout. He's sitting at an almost 62% win rate on the Azir. And pulling out all the stops here are LNG. Look for those moves out of mid lane for Scout, cohesing with Tarzan, and Hung being able to get into those skirmishes as well. It will be a nice frontal assault, though, from JDG, and really looking at Kanavi to be proactive as well.
So obviously a little earlier, I kind of doubted whether the Jayce would go topside because Zika hasn't gone towards that before. What it does mean, though, is that we get to talk about some of Scout's stats. You talked about his career ones. This season, he's also not lost on the Azir. He is currently, he's also 2-0 on that one. It is only 2 games, of course. But he has a KDA of 17.5. He needs to be that unkillable again, though, because if you ever go into a side lane and you lose track of vision, you lose track of this mid jungle from Kanavi and Knight, The Vi and the Ahri is absolutely lethal against Azir as a champion.
You gotta watch out for those duos here. We put so much promise on Kanavi plus Knight, Tarzan plus Scout, the new homes for these legendary LPL mid laners, and they're making those homes look just right. It comes down to the early pathing of Tarzan versus Kanavi. We get our culmination of our match of the week, Game 3, starting up now. It's LNG versus JDG as we hit to Summoner's Rift. Let the gyos ring!
Yay! Heading into Game 3, what a day of League of Legends this has been. Love the hype that you're bringing, Mazel. It was really fitting for what we are seeing on the Rift. Again, such high-level League of Legends out of these teams, particularly when it's coming around those skirmishes, particularly when it's coming around those team fights. One of these carries left unchecked can be the be-all and the end-all. Going out onto the Rift. No level 1 shenanigans happening just so far. Saw that Rakan placed a ward in that topside brush. This is something that we've seen a little bit, because when you have ranged versus melee matchups, getting control of those topside brushes is very important. JDG, maybe looking for a late fade. Not sure you can do much with this, though.
The aftershock start there for Tarzan. Nothing too crazy I see across the board. I guess we do have that spell book again for Knight on the Ahri, but we were looking last time, yeah.
I wouldn't have gone for that this game. Because in this game, because you're looking to burst out in side lanes, I really value having the electrocute to combo up with the Vi, because Jayce and Azir are both under threat as soon as you move into side lanes. I feel like Knight could have taken a bit more carry potential in this game. You know how good of a carry he is, but in this one, still looking for a little bit more utility from that spellbook. Helps you in the first skirmish of the game. You can swap over to Ignite, even though you've taken that teleport. That can be very helpful. And we get a little more time to talk about this.
We do.
Going into a pause.
The golden left hand from TS, having lost to JDG in the summer finals, in brutal, actually, back-to-back series for them, going to best of fives, and coming to join the winning side this year. He's found a lot of home, a lot of promise here on the JDG roster, and really trying to make that golden left hand moniker stick in another team and make sure that he can cement his legacy right alongside the same story for Scout from EDG.
That's what's really special to me, actually, because you have these two players. You have Xiaohu moving on from RNG. You have Rookie moving on from V5, where he found himself for a number of years at that point. You have a lot of these awesome mid laners from the LPL finding new places to try and play their trade, try and get themselves back onto that radar, both regionally and internationally in different organizations and setups.
And it's just also, I mean, you talk about all these lauded names, but then you also have the kind of unsung names and the developmental piece of LP coming up from LNG's LDL squad, right? And the fact that he's going toe-to-toe with Ruler in a crucial best of 3, because we said earlier that the matchup for this is for second place, but this is also looking at the final seedings, because this is the final big matchup of our top 4 teams.
Yeah, so this is one of our real benchmarks. This is the we get a bit of a calm before the coming storm of playoffs after that point, and the playoff schedule is also just so grueling for these teams. Particularly if you don't make it to the top 2 and you kind of wait later into that bracket. Some of these teams have to climb day after day after day in those best of 5s. So not quite at that point yet, but this is one of those last times. One of the phrases which I really like is iron sharpens iron. Both of these bared blades trying to find their way into their final forms before they go into playoffs, before they try and climb the way up to MSI, to international competition. Of course, 2 teams will go from the LPL to MSI this year. Games like this are absolutely invaluable to see where your progress is at, how high you have climbed so far, and how far yet there is to climb.
Indeed. Still trying to get the climbing gear out for both these teams as we circle down the last couple weeks here. Yeah, need ice picks, need some of those.
Oh my god, they locked in ice climbers. I thought they weren't in the recent.
I do want to update everyone. LNG's Tarzan did report a device problem. They're investigating now, so hopefully getting into it very soon. But trying to get into a best of 3 quickly, that maybe a little bit of this buying time takes away some of that early game energy.
I don't know. I think these teams are more than happy to go at it. They're really settled into the groove at this point. LNG, though, in the first game, when they did have their winning lanes versus JDG, it felt like they were...
We're going back!
Just that leg over the competition.
We're back to Summoners, right? I'm not going to sing that. That would be a catastrophe for everyone.
Say I am nowhere near West Virginia. I am not even close. I'm not even on the same continent.
So
that makes so, that
me
makes
being
so much
from
sense.
There, kind of.
Every piece of content you've done in the cowboy hat makes so much sense.
See, that's because I'm from also. I spent like 16 years in Texas. All right, there's different kinds of country. All right, and I'm both of them apparently. We'll teach you about the country aspects of the U.S. here sometime other time, not in the LPL time. As LNG looking again for that proactivity from Tarzan. Same can be said for JDG's Kanavi.
Yeah, so this is why the switch of the Jayce to top lane and the Azir was picked for LNG, despite it being a liability later into the game. Early on,
Tarzan didn't
Scout
get spotted.
Gets to choose. He didn't get spotted, and they had actually hit that ward before, so they knew the ward was there. They had eyes on it. Tarzan walking into the enemy jungle, and the Azir is stopping Knight from coming to the play, as well as the Rakan getting pushed in that bot side. You get to push in. Tarzan, Hung, and LP get first crack at this play.
Hung has been such a crucial piece to how much success Tarzan has found because he roams so easily and so frequently out of lane, using some of those pressures early on. This blue buff heavily contested. Those end up going over to LNG. This is what happened game one, though. It's literally rinse and repeat.
But this is what you couldn't do if you'd put that Jayce into mid lane. So LNG, they're kind of making their choice pay off as much as they can. They say, look, first couple of levels, that's going to belong to Scout. Scout on his Azir, champion which has had so many games on, as you were rightfully saying, as we loaded into this game. The question is, how much can LNG get from this first area of the game before JDG start hitting their ultimates, particularly on the top side of the map, and also when they start creating fog of war, when they start looking for these picks. JDG, their time is not quite yet now, but they can't afford to give up too much and let Kanavi get shut out of the game like he did in game one.
And last time in game two, we saw LG put a lot of pressure into those early dragons. Wasn't ever able to get to that soul, but I do wonder if JDG try to take a little bit of that once we get those objectives spawning to get something going for them early. Tarzan will be going for the Scuttle Crab, hovering over this top side of the map.
Yeah, I think objective stacking for LNG, very important, because looking at both these teams, you put yourself in their shoes. Walking up and down. I think he must have landed the chunk to get that one chunk. Especially after the Scout teleport back in. That's a really good chunk to take. But go back to the objective point. LNG, you look at those 5 people, they are a team which prefer to sit at range, use Jayce, use Azir, to sit on objective and let JDG come into them. Let them disengage, play around the objective, stacking and force JDG to come to them. Yeah, looks like yeah, max range jump.
That's what
that's a kick
up for us.
Kanavi Tarzan on top side.
Okay, 2v2 top side though. Zika flashing away. Now they have some front to back here, but Zika needs to be careful because you don't have that same CC right back. It needs to be stacked up. That flash burned by Zika though.
Of course, Jayce in Hammer form does stack the Sejuani E, but it's not quite the same as a Renekton that gets the empowered W to get through auto attacks in quick succession. Not able to get the immediate burst, the CC from Sejuani, but it is a good disengage play from Tarzan up towards that top side. Does blow that teleport. Kanavi spotted on the ward just coming through. Give Zika the heads up. So he gets out. I guess you can at least keep pushing that lane. Allows Tarzan a bit more of an inroad towards top side.
We are getting level 6s for both Scout and Knight now. At least Scout first with this Emperor's Divide needs to get out and at least have something to say in that aspect. Spirit Rush will be there for Knight now as well. We've seen...
also,
go ahead.
Dematerializers available for Knight as well. So if we're talking about having, this is the thing. So sometimes you'll see this on the Ahri because you can clear backline minions from, that's level 6, level 5, 369. What can you do with this? Go
all out comes through. Zika in some trouble here. Does get the knockback though.
Yeah, but Jayce doesn't exactly have sustain. He's going to have to sit here on low HP now. No teleport. Wave in an awkward spot. He's going to start building up on that top side of the map. Maybe Zika has to get himself a recall. Yeah, he's warding out to see if there's a dive coming because he's low HP. And there was the potential of that crash coming through. Actually, JDG going to use that to say there's no way that Zika gets to influence any part of the map. Maybe Tarzan has to cover that top side. Maybe he was worried about the play coming in there. Now actually trade on sides of the map. Go towards that bot side, take the first dragon of the game, and stop LNG from doing what we said was quite important for them in getting early dragons.
And we do see a bit of a roam coming out from Hung. We also got to think in about 1:20, a Rift Herald coming up. I know we said Dragon could be a priority for LNG, but now that they've lost the first one, could expect them to put more resources into this contest of the Rift Herald.
Potentially, but Jayce is not awesome around that point in the map.
He isn't.
You know, he doesn't have a hugely impactful ultimate like some like 369 will have. Of course, I'm not sure he'll have that all out in time. It's almost gonna be quite close. Maybe if the fight's delayed, 369 will have that up in time because it's only up in just that 1 minute. But JDG, especially with their level 6s coming through for jungle and mid, if they get into river first, they control vision. Expect someone to get caught first and foremost, and for LNG to be playing on the defense.
Do you have the Feather Storm now there for LP as well?
Yeah, playing around top side when Ahri's got the ult. Very, very dangerous. Tarzan does not know Knight's around the corner. There's also Ignite from the spell.
Still no now. Has the Blast Cone to get away. The play not collapsed on fast enough, at least JDG, with LNG having some of that vision game there, strongly in their favor at least. But 20 seconds for this Rift Herald, and some pings at least from JDG around that pit here, with maybe a little bit of pressure from 369. It makes their fight a lot easier around that objective.
So, Knight, control over mid lane again. There's dematerializer that we mentioned being very important. You can either use them on cannons to force in those cannon waves, or onto the back line to help you clear them from level 7. Also has the one left, so I don't think he's actually completely killing the back line minions right now. But with that said, Kanavi hits level 6 after stopping Tarzan from invading and stealing away something like a red buff. Tarzan hits 6 himself and is heading towards Herald. I don't think they want to fight this. This is not a good fight for LNG.
Fight! I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. I'm not going to do that. But Scout was actually a little bit on the room. That is the Rift Herald going down in full objective control.
We will call that one
but you know, crazy is our game, right? Like, don't you just get a pass?
Yes, but it's crazy at like a in an accepted direction.
You don't have to go into details, okay, Nymeara? You don't have to go into details. Just crazy is our game, okay? It doesn't matter which kind of crazy.
I will. You know what? This time I'll let you have it. It's just not worth it, guys. It's just not worth the fight.
It's not worth the fight.
Sometimes you just let it happen. Just as LNG let that Herald go down. Again, that wasn't their time to fight. Maybe around the next dragon, that can be played where they play through. Level 6 hit by
actually used on a level 5, missing mid lane though. Scout with the Emperor's Divide. Knight dodged around it so beautifully. And JDG strike first in mid lane.
And this is why it was dangerous into this mid jungle TV2. They shift the Jayce out of that lane and they get some early pressure. 369 all in the top side.
Oh, there's another all-out Zika. I don't think you get out of this one. He has flash here. He does have to use it yet again. Bot lane, though, LNG trying to respond. That hostile takeover is not enough to save missing. Kanavi finds the capitalization. Knight has TP'd. And Ruler, he can't get the damage on the LP. He'll flash for it. And he dodges out of the queue. Oh, my goodness. Here comes Kanavi. Wants to lock him down. Has the flash. He should be able to deliver this kill over. One more auto attack though, and he does eventually get the kill over to JDG. It's 2 for 1, and Chaos has hit the Rift.
And unlike the first game of this series, JDG's pick combo in the mid jungle is not locked in lane. It's not got Scout on a Lissandra, blacking out the map, removing vision and being a playmaker in themselves. Scout goes down first, Knight and Kanavi unlocked on the map, and they start calling the shots. LNG, we were worried about what happens after the first few levels with the Azir. Well, this is the worries coming into fruition, going into the replay and seeing exactly what happened. Not gonna lie, this was pretty cookie cutter. That's the kill of that. Scout uses the E. Very long cooldown at first rank. You see it's actually on like 14 seconds, 12 seconds. Has a flash.
Oh, goodness.
But he's using that E to try and clear out the wave. Tries to get himself
the
ability to reset. Knight Kanavi, call his bluff, kill him in lane.
Now you got Rift Herald still ready and raring to go for Kanavi. He's getting back onto the map. Another dragon spawning in about 40 seconds. See where he wants to drop this Rift Herald gold. With Knight getting a little bit of advantage, could expect that to be the continued effort. But Ruler could use a little bit of love in the bot lane as well. We'll see the power duo of Knight and Ruler really be the essence that JDG are trying to play around.
I think you probably give it over to Ruler, particularly because Knight is going towards the spell book with Boost Lucidity build. You're expecting probably an Everfrost coming out, as much as I don't like building that item myself on the champion. It does mean that if you are the one going forward, wow, that extra second, which is totally not going to be like reduced by tenacity on most of the champions in the game nowadays. Ooh,
you sound salty, Nymeara. You sound salty.
It's almost because I am Mazel, but either way.
No way.
Either way, you are setting up for your Vi and for your Aphelios. The more gold there is on Kanavi and Ruler, the more likely it is for Knight and the rest of his team to come out victorious in this game 3. At this point, LNG, they are trying to set up around these objectives. As we said, they're probably the ones who are trying to be sat in the river first, looking for their range to be of advantage and inviting JDG to engage into them. JDG not going towards that, though. They're going towards topside, no flash.
Zika does not have that flash, and there's the CC combo. 369 with the knockback doesn't actually connect it, but the all-out does no matter what, and Kanavi gets another kill for JDG. Dragon goes to LNG.
I love what JDG have been doing in regards to what they think LNG will do, knowing that the Dragon is up. They don't butt heads around that bot side. Just like in the previous play, 369 kind of all in towards topside, blows the flash of Zika and stacks the wave, threatens to dive, calls Tarzan up to the top side, and then they make a play on the other side of the map. This time they do the opposite. They say, you're going towards that bot side, we're just going to go play towards topside too. At least there's the cross map for LP in this case to get some plates on tower, but huge problems now where how the heck is Zika going to farm in a side lane? Particularly when you have that Vi and the Ahri going into a side lane too. No. This Jayce is really in dire straits. How the heck does he even farm?
Another charge comes through. LNG's response is bot side. That hostile takeover, not enough to bail out neither. As LNG responds, but 369 has TP down here. The Gravitum connects, but he can't slow him down. Moonlight Vigil, and the damage, it's not enough. Ruler can't do the math. He gets so close. Look at Missy. He's laughing in the picture, but LNG make it out alive with a pick.
Forgot to carry the 1, or I guess in this case, carry the 4. Hung gets out on a sliver of HP. LNG, they actually do pull off the cross map. Get themselves a number of plates in bot side. They get themselves another kill. It's not the kill onto Ruler. It's not onto the Aphelios, which makes things a little awkward because he's still going to get farm in that bot side. Tarzan, though, he's not caught up by that hostile takeover. Teleport comes in for 369, but he's already gone all out on the top side. No way to kind of follow them across the wall with that one. So close. So look in the bottom left corner. 1 HP! It wasn't
literally
even 4!
1 HP!
It was 1! I didn't see that at the time!
Literally 1 HP. Hung was just sitting there like, please, don't kill me. And beautifully done in terms of the luck given. And LNG make it out with a bit of response on the map. They still are at a 2.5k deficit, and it's still a very tall mountain to climb.
Scav's actually gone for the crown first item. I think that is valuable. If Ahri is walking up to kind of break your crown, most of the time you can turn it around in the duration before it turns off to actually have a pretty hard trade onto Knight, unless they're going for like a full 100-0. And outside of that, it's kind of hard to poke it off a Scout. I think in this case it's actually fairly valuable, particularly because, as you're saying, Azir is going to be in a position this game where side laning is going to be perilous for Scout. Same with Zika. Zika's in a pretty awkward spot because he's been put behind already quite far by 369 individual kill threat. But still, itemization from Scout I think is on point here.
And I like the setup for LNG when you're coming into objective fights as well. It's starting to get Zika involved in those, get some poke down before you go in for a big engage with the Glacial Prison from Tarzan. But it is a lot of tools that you have to be careful of. He actually didn't. No. Rift Herald is up and available. JDG want to continue to stack that one up.
So Ruler's going to cycle through his Severum. He's going to get through to his Caliber, and at that point he's going to have rifle turrets for the objective fight. Very dangerous for LNG to be the ones engaging into the river. This is the opposite of what they want to do. They haven't got a push in top lane, so I think this is probably just going to be Herald given over free. No real platform to fight this one over. Instead, maybe looking towards that Dragon towards that 2 minutes. They're really waiting for a couple of items to come in for Scout, probably for Zika as well. He was going for the Gore Drinker build, it's worth noting, which I know there's been some conversation about it, but Jayce is not a champion with sustain, and against a champion like the Ksante, we already saw in the individual 1v1, really struggles in elongated trades. If you have to survive in a side lane, I can understand the reasoning to go for something like that Gore Drinker, just to say I have a little bit more ability to 1v1 and 1v2 in a side lane when I'm not receiving the help from the rest of my team.
I will just say, though, about 1:10 till the dragon spawns. While it's not like a crucial dragon, I would still like to see, opt into that stacking. You're missing your, mythic item completion for Tarzan before that happens. You have the Divine Sunder there for Kanavi, and we actually see some deep vision game played by LNG here before any of those objectives even spawn.
Yeah, they're playing up towards this top side. I think they're just trying to secure something for poor Zika. He's a lot of pressure put towards him on the top side. He is only
they catch 369. That's actually pretty big. I don't know if that's an under tower you want to take. That all out is available.
Ksante with a Jack show. It's very tanky, and that drain over time, that regen attached to it. really sure you want to be engaging in that kind of play. But still, because LNG have headed towards the top side, you were saying, hey, maybe it's not the most important dragon, because it's not sole point. Would have been nice for LNG to start stacking it up.
They're going to
because
try
they play
again.
towards top side, they're not going to be on bot side for this dragon. They're choosing to give that one up, which gives JDG the advantage in these dragons. It is an Infernal Rift. Of course, the extra damage for, well, pretty much everyone always like Infernal Soul, very rarely useless. And in this game, when you're trying to burst that difference, I don't think that's cool. Kanavi actually steal pretty much everything.
Wow.
Yeah, very impactful by either. Ruler has himself rifle turrets, very important for this objective. See what they can achieve with it. JDG looking towards that dragon.
They are indeed. They're already going into the pit here, so it should be JDG. With this one secured, will be the second dragon of the game for them. So not nearly an early soul, at least just yet, as LNG did get that one. But it should be now LNG looking back to this top side. They had already set up a lot of the vision. It's no longer there. Maybe put some more down and try to catch 369 in transition here. Tarzan does go for that engage, but the rest of JDG are moving up from mid.
So Jayce is just showing on the top wave as well. I think if JDG knew that Scout was in River, there's a chance that they went for an engage. So maybe this mid lane, of course, it's a little bit hard to do that onto the Xayah and the Rakan. Very, very mobile. And actually Knight towards the spot side as well. They choose to split the map. So LNG, they use that vision on top side to open up a long lane. They're going to lose themselves bot lane outer turret as well. Side laning is going to become very interesting at this point. Talk about the damage which is available from JDG should they commit to it. LNG, a lot of their job will be like the last few minutes, trying to secure pockets of vision, move people in force, get to a point where this doesn't happen.
The crown does get popped there, and there's too much CC and no more tower. Here comes Zika to try to save him. The Sun Disc comes alive as a TP comes in, but it's not enough as LNG. Scout's already gone. Can Zika get one back? Kanavi's down too. LP gets one kill back and two as well. As now Ruler tries to come in with the Moonlight Vigil, but he's locked down here. He's trying to get the Severum damage off. He's getting so low. LP not chased down by 369 just yet. Zika gets the poke down. Here comes LP. He wants to get the kill to 369, but Hung can't find the engage. Zika will be getting that shot in. The Blade Collar, not enough. As 369 try to run away with his life here, should be able to make it out. Hung tries to go for it now. Ruler healing up on the side, and it's just a trade as another TP comes in from LNG.
Scout can't quite finish off that kill with a teleport to the mid lane, but LNG, they know what's up. Everyone is going to go towards this Azir in the side lane, so everyone's going to turn up for the party. JDG, they don't get the clean kill because of that Shurima's legacy. The tower's dead, long live the tower, Sun Disc goes up. Very importantly so, going to go through a replay of whatever the heck happened through here. Everfrost sets up for the Vi to get into the play. Very easy CC into CC. And Scout does a great job of getting just enough time and damage done to make sure this isn't an easy kill. If you had another Ahri ultimate charge, which wasn't having to be wasted because Scout hadn't quite outplayed that, maybe now Knight can dash out through the turret the other side. Maybe he can get himself to a point of safety. Not the case though. Once these feathers start coming by, very hard to walk into the Xayah as well. Really is just cleaned up by 369. Doing a really good job going all out.
Yeah, it did indeed. And I got to highlight a little bit of that team play there from LNG to try to pull something back. And I can appreciate kind of that forward aggression. Ruler to try to go for that big flashy play with the Moonlight Vigil. We will see new item completions coming across now, though, for both sides. While we just saw Knight complete his second, we also saw the Gale Force completed for Ruler, and you have that Navori Quick Plays on the other side for LP.
So that's going to be the Horizon focus build up by Knight. He's had a real fascination with this item rate recently, so I'm pretty sure that the passive is still bugged on this, where you don't get the extra damage, even for like getting the CC kind of onto champion. So it's a little bit of a weird one, but what you're doing is you're basically, again, double downing on this Ahri into setting up for Kanavi. You have a little bit more CDR while still having a bit of damage from, of course, the AP of that item. It is all about more charms, more ults, more threat onto Scout, because that is the name of the game for JDG. How unsafe can you make Scout feel?
But that crown bought so much time. I know you highlighted it when he built it, but it's coming in so clutch. And I typically am not a big fan of the crowns. I feel like in the LPL, you find a lot of damage-centered comps that have a lot of advantage, and you feel like the crown could be kind of manipulated. But here, in that moment, Scout buys so much time while he still goes down. It's a play that LNG take, and you get some more gold in LP's pocket.
Yeah. Crown versus a Varus is very different to a Crown versus like a Vi Ahri burst comp because just the range and the accessibility to remove that shield just not nearly the same. So, minute till the next dragon, JDG would be soul point for them. They haven't managed to control all of the spot side river vision. LNG actually able to walk in here and force, but Kanavi is on a pink ward. LP has himself the ult, has himself cleanse. He'll be hard to close down. LNG, they fight around the Xayah with 2 items.
They are going to catch out Hung. He goes immediately back, though. The Chakrams actually doing so much damage there. And with the Dragon spotting in 25 seconds, that's going to be a reset from Hung.
Good target selection from Kanavi and JDG. You can't really shut down the Xayah at that point with the cleanse and the ult, but you can do a lot of damage to Hung, who has the engage threat, who has the vision control as well with wards in pocket. What that means is JDG actually get into the river. They get themselves a bit more vision control. They can start choosing their own play now. They're looking for an engage, a pick, or are they looking to finish the dragon?
Dragon is spawning now. There is already a turret in the pit. And JDG starting it up here. LNG moving into position. Some of that poke from Zika is online now and available with that Nymeara completed.
So Scout still has his crown. Importantly, no one's able to poke that off just yet.
Ruler. Tarzan might want to go for it. Can Tarzan get it? He doesn't. There's a hostile takeover back, and LNG are forced to run away. JDG not looking like they want to pull the fight and just get out with their 3rd dragon of the game, an Infernal Soul point that's so important right now for JDG themselves.
And the whole reason that works out is because the Rakan was chunked out just beforehand. Again, really good target selection just before that dragon spawned, and Hung wasn't able to be the big flash engage with the quickness flying through the rest of that team. JDG doesn't that out, but now 369 out of the middle of nowhere.
That's the quickness coming out. He's trying to dodge out from the Unstoppable. Nicely used there as the weight comes through for 369, and now JDG looking forward.
Disturbing players. Hung gets down with the quickness. 369 getting away with that one and his life. 2 items. He's just such a nuisance on this Ksante. It just makes it really hard to do much to him. He won't always kill you, but he'll make it really hard to make you take him off the map. LNG, I think they've done a good job of securing these side lanes. I think they're actually getting enough farm onto Zika, who's now built up to that Miramana second, and also building towards second items onto Scout as well. I didn't expect that to go as cleanly for them. I think that says a lot about LNG's macro and how they've been playing around side lanes. Not many teams in the world would have been able to outlast a team like JDG playing through their pick combos from that mid lane. But the objectives are getting really worrying for them now. If they'd gotten those earlier dragons, they wouldn't have to worry about it as much, but if they can't fight over that Infernal Soul next, it's going to be a big, big swing of power towards JDG in the late game.
And that's what I love when you see these top teams go at each other, because you can watch JDG put down lesser opponents all season long and it looks fine and dandy, but you've got to be able to prove yourself against the top tier teams, and we've been waiting for this one for a while. The fact that everything lined up to secure a 2nd place for them if they win here and continue a strong streak into the rest of the season, this is a big stepping off point to get prepped for playoffs. We've heard both sides kind of talk about getting ready and getting in form, and well, our 3rd game is delivering in that fashion. Very, very tight-knit. 2,000 goal in the lead is JDG.
Yeah, so Hung is actually in a much better position this time. Last time JDG could chunk him out before anything really started in earnest. Scout has his crown back again, that's important. And with that Baron on the table, maybe LNG can find their solution to these objectives by playing the difference between the Baron and that Soul. Knight playing around Fog of War as well. The key charm could be the difference. The key Reanta ult into a choke point, similarly so. Both of these teams being posed their questions. JDG, you have to feel slightly in the advantage right now. It feels like they are the ones playing proactively and removing LNG's options. LNG still have a lot of firepower if they manage to keep their carries in a safe spot after the fight starts to evolve.
The biggest thing that's worrying me is you have, like, you're still waiting on the Rabadon's completion from Scout. You're like on 2.5 items right now for Knight. And while the gold lead on paper hasn't been that much, it's just delivering right now for Knight, who has a lot of say in these team fights. Again, we talked a lot about in game number 1, that extension that they have with Knight and Kanavi on the engages and trying to catch out members, but it's going to be even more point present here.
Knight's chosen to take the cleanse for the next fight. Maybe that means he can get out of a Rakan.
No smite this
combo,
time, I guess.
No, I was actually wondering if that would be a thing, because if it's going to come down to...
Oh,
that's a big pick. That's such a big pick.
He gets out, though. He does get out.
Yes, but he doesn't have ult right now, and he doesn't have flash. If you don't have those 2 things on Hung, you can't fight around this river vision. JDG, with that last dragon fight taken into account as well, and this as well, they've identified Hung on the Rakan as the player they need to chunk out. Doesn't even matter if he's dead or not. If he doesn't have the tools to start off fights, they feel so much more safe to fight around the vision, which LNG is trying to protect.
Oh, he was caught backing. They just predicted that he was there. Now LP gets a little bit of engaged by Ruler. It does get a nice heal back, but that was a very close situation. That Featherstorm had to be used too.
Huge slow. That is a big set of plays. And again, no one dies, but JDG removing the tools which LNG have to play the next few minutes. And again, catching out Hung on the side, removing his HP. He's just not going to have the same ability to make the game-winning engages that LNG really want to play towards.
And now it's Kanavi looking for an engage. LP has rejoined the team. He is on third item. Lord Dom's completed. So you will have some strength in these tanky frontline members. But it's all about the setup right now for LNG. We have not seen Zika able to land poke before objectives, but we have a Dragon Soul spawning for JDG in 20 seconds.
There is courage yet still in the man of the LNG, but what tools have they got to face off against JD Gaming around what could be the deciding fight, the Infernal Soul Point, spawning in 10 seconds.
Kanavi getting a little bit caught here, has to use that Vault Breaker. The Charm is already used. Hung getting that engage on Kanavi. He doesn't really have a way out of here. Now the Glacial Prison on top. There's not enough damage coming over the wall. And Kanavi should just go down here and burst Divide to make sure, but Scout gets caught too. Ruler has gotten a kill, but it's a trade for trade. Jungler still alive for LNG.
But you don't have the Azir. What's your damage profile going to look like? Smite picked up for Knight from the spellbook, so it's not like they don't even have a Smite either. It's the lesser powered one. It's not the empowered one. It's still going to be the lower damage. Oh no, it's actually the 1200 damage one. Can't be wrong on that one. So, LNG, they can't even take this themselves. And without Scout, do they have the damage to really take an elongated fight? I'm not sure. JDG backing away for now.
They're starting it up. Oh goodness. We're getting into a little bit of finicky territory here. Can Knight make the deal happen? He's already done it once before, or at least Scout trying to on the other side of it. Now
Surely
it's into the pit for Knight over the side with this Ahri. Can he make it happen a second time? As he does not do it. LP is the one that secures it. And that will be a Dragon denied from JDG, the sole ever present on the board. And that should be JDG actually moving over to the Baron pit to force the presence and force the tempo.
Yeah, but LNG in that last fight got into the river for that Dragon secure. They're not on the Baron this time. They don't have themselves Rakan. They don't have themselves Azir with their ultimate either. They're looking for a
trying
pick
to
and
catch out missing. Don't get the cooldown onto him. He has the hostile takeover as well. 4,000 health on the Baron. Here comes the squad of LNG into the pit. Though they're separated now, the Baron has gone over to Kanavi. Ruler has got another kill. And LNG, they're being routed right now. They were baited into the pit. And it's like fish in a barrel. It's a 4-man Emperor's Divide, but Scout cannot hold them together.
It's an Emperor's Divide, but they've divided by 0. It's an error all over. JDG, they lose the Dragon fight, but they know as soon as the Dragon is off the board, they can head to the Baron where LNG are not set up. They don't have vision, they don't have the engage tools, they used too much in that Dragon fight. JDG, their heads-up play, their decision-making has been so exciting to watch in this Game 3.
It really has, and taking the onus saying, we're going to catch you on tempo. We're going to force you to make some decisions that you weren't ready for and take the fight after. Incredible turnaround from JDG, just forcing the matter into LNG.
And you can see the desperation coming out from Tarzan and the rest of the team. They know they can't hard commit onto the Baron pit. They don't have Rakan ult. They don't have the Azir ult at the start of this fight either. Of course, it comes up midway through this fight. And with the Reanta
Tarzan just goes in too late.
Because for those of you that don't know, the Reanta ult, if it hits one of the people there, which then kind of kills the Dragon, the Baron, or anything with the auto attack, it actually counts as Reanta killing that Baron. Scout, if he had this at the start of the fight, that would have been game changer. Didn't have that. JDG would get the correct timing, and now they get to see what they can do with full push across the map. Starting to get a lot of golden pockets as well.
Yeah, look at the damage percentage as well. Just LNG Scout trying to make something happen here, although LNG will get the GA here pop. 369 on the flank, and the pullback from the Blade Caller gets LP.
That's huge. Big kill. But those turrets, the Infernum turrets, big AoE. How much can JDG do without, once again, the quickness being available? They're looking to fight the 4v5.
This is just constant skirmishing. 369 so tanky here. Here comes Knight on the side here, though. As the charm does not connect, the red buff does go over. And it's just a stalemate right now in the LNG side of the jungle.
That is a big kill to pick up. If Kanavi is down, the most easy way to engage these fights with JDG is off the table. LNG, they had to face off against this Baron power push. It has been a 5,000 gold Baron power push. It is still huge, but it doesn't break the base. It doesn't become as worse as it could have been. Important kill onto Kanavi. Is it LNG? Still in with a fighting chance.
Uh-oh. Featherstorm does just come up, so nice timing there. The all-out use. Moonlight Vigil doesn't connect with the hostile takeover. It hits on it too! And JDG have pounced! LNG don't have anything on this bot lane to defend! This should be an in-hit tower going down! They try to get one back, though.
They try and ult.
Oh my
JDG,
goodness.
they find a way to make the play on the bot side of the map. 369 trades his life for the top and AD carry of LNG. And with the last of that Baron buff, JDG do break the base, despite LNG picking them off beforehand.
TP coming back into the fight. That's Kanavi finding the engage on Ahung. And JDG with one fell swoop. They might just be able to crack some permanent damage back onto the Nexus towers here.
What a decisive last minute of play from JDG. There is no Xayah up right now. How much can they do in the next 15 seconds before the Xayah's back up?
Ruler's got red-white. Look how much damage he does. Scout, you got no chance. Ruler says the game is over, and JDG will destroy a reverse sweep over LNG. And that's a 2-1 finish to our match of the week. Our kings of second place, JDG.
A match worthy of the top teams in the LPL. Only EDG above these two, but you have to look into playoffs now where all of those teams very, very likely to face off, perhaps even numerous times. I am so excited to see what happens after the regular season finishes. This is one of our last chances to really kind of have a time capsule of where these teams will be heading into playoffs. We get to use this as a benchmark. How much will these teams improve before we see them in best of fives? How much will they